All right. All praise to the Most High Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Enough respect to the brothers teaching the truth all over the earth. This lesson is going to be entitled Esau versus the Hebrew Israelites. And Esau is the so-called white man. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans spread throughout the four corners of the earth in captivity are the seed of the house of Israel. Now I'm gonna get right into it. I got some information to share. This should be an informative lesson. Different brothers throughout the brotherhood have already made mention of this article and done lessons on it. For the viewers on these channels, I'm gonna go ahead and go into it right now. So from Newsweek.com, this is what it says. It says FBI ranks black identity extremists bigger threat than Al Qaeda white supremacists leaked documents, right? And this article was published on August 8th, 2019, right? Now going on, let's read it here. It says, new report reveals that FBI was concerned of violence from black supremacist extremists. The FBI has a history of monitoring civil rights groups. Leaked FBI documents indicate black identity extremists and animal rights activists are among the agency's top counterterrorism priorities under President Donald Trump. The FBI's priority list documents obtained by the Young Turks Thursday lay out the Bureau's 2018 fiscal year focal points in counterterrorism, cybercrime, and counterintelligence. The 2018-19 threat guidance documents describe black identity extremists, or BIEs, as those who use force or violence in violation of criminal law in response to perceived racism and injustice in American society. The files claim some BIEs acted in hopes of establishing a separate black homeland or autonomous black social institutions, communities, or governing organizations within the USA. Listen to the wording of the document. An internal FBI report from August 2017 was widely criticized for using the BIE label, which many call racist. Of course it is. It's the devil you're dealing with, Esau. But the Consolidated Strategy Guide documents leaked this week show the FBI kept the term and made BIEs one of its top counterterrorism priorities. Under the Trump administration, they're considered a bigger threat than terror groups such as Al Qaeda. Animal rights / environmental extremists and anti-authority extremists were also deemed top existential threats. Under a cryptic strategy titled Iron Fist, the leaked document suggests the Bureau plans to use infiltration and other undercover techniques to mitigate threats posed by black extremist groups, including exploiting the felony status of some members. Other language labels black extremists as racist themselves, likely to target civilian and government entities that are perceived as oppressors, including but not limited to law enforcement officers, the U.S. government, members of rival black supremacist extremist groups, and individuals based on race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, and religion. Read one section called Key Domain Entities. You see these devils setting it up. And they even put that in there about rival black supremacist extremists. For example, they know that the Hebrew Israelites don't get along with the so-called the new Black Panther Party, or the what's the other group called? The conscious community, the Egyptians, the Kemet, all that stuff, right? So these devils just steady. They got a broad brush they paint this with, and Esau's about ready to roll, man. As well as other Israelite groups that we don't get along with. You see? Going on, it says the documents show the FBI wrongly projected there would be attrition and declining membership within white supremacist and nationalist extremist movements over the past few years. And it's also to note that Esau knows too that when you deal with the Nation of Islam and some of those other groups, they all been infiltrated by Esau. He owns those groups. So at any time he could have some shit break off, just like he owned most of these Israelite groups. The same way. You people that watch these other groups, you don't want to listen, man. You don't believe that they infiltrated, that the Most High, Salakia, not the Most High. Well, in the grand scheme of things, it is the Most High. But you don't want to believe that these other groups have sold out, man, but they have. That's why they're telling you you can have sex on the Sabbath, that they're not going to push the mark of the beast. They're not going to push the Most High's name. That's why they're doing that, right? That's why they wear all black. Tell you that, like I said, the mark of the beast is not the chip. Wearing all black, going to the gun range. We've been telling you, going on, and in reference to white supremacy, the documents read, some RMVEs, racially motivated violent extremists, are driven by a belief in the superiority of the white race and a perception that the U.S. government is conspiring with Jews and minority populations to bring about the racist demise. The 2020 threat guidance documents state the FBI has also begun using racially motivated extremism as a watered-down label for white nationalist groups. In the documents leaked to the Young Turks, the FBI sought to lower the threat impact by BIEs and identify who was recruiting or facilitating for such groups in the U.S. The FBI judges some RMVE perceptions of police brutality against African Americans served as justification for premeditated retaliatory violence against law enforcement in 2016. And don't forget, your man Sakari said he was going to get T-shirts with black identity extremists on the front of it when he was advised and warned not to do so. You see this shit? So that's showing you right there, man. Esau is almost ready to roll on brothers, man. That devil is almost ready. Now I want to read a couple of scriptures, and then I got a trailer and clip to show you and a little bit more info. Let's read Isaiah 29 and 20. It says, for the terrible one is brought to naught. The terrible one is Esau, the so-called white man. And the scorner is consumed, same guy. And all that watch for iniquity are cut off. And that's what's going to come to pass. They're going to be cut off. But this is what they do in the meantime. That make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. They land snares. They're getting it ready. We can see it coming so clearly. We've been warning you about all these things, and the Most High keeps showing you signs by manifesting the wickedness of these other groups. IUIC, HOI, ISUPK, right? GLCC. You just keep on following them. You won't listen. But you know what? That's good. That's good that you don't listen. But you're going to say stuff like, well, why can't we all just come together? You keep pointing out your brothers. What about it? This is the devil doing this. No. Your leaders, some of these other groups, they going off. That asshole Pastor Dow is in league with this damn government, man, with these Judas goats. He's one of them. And all them guys that you follow, man, all them fluffy groups that you follow, they setting you up for the kill. But you know what? Hey, if it's in your story, that's your lot. 2 Corinthians 10 and 2 and 10. I'm going to start in verse 8. Wherefore I beseech you that ye would confirm your love toward him. For to this end also did I write, that I might know the proof of you, whether ye be obedient in all things. To whom you forgive anything, I forgive also. For if I forgave anything, to whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgave I it in the person of Hamashiach. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And I read all that just to read verse 11, right? We're not ignorant of the devices that the spiritual demon Satan is using Esau, the so-called white man. The whole real truth is the fact that this, the truth of the matter is that this truth has gotten to these devils, and they can't see any other way other than to try and topple it from the inside. That's one of Esau's tactics, man, because they can't gainsay this word. We're burning these devils up, man, And on the one hand, I feel, great about it, but at the same time, it's inside of me, man. It's warning me like Spider-Man with his spidey sense, And you're going to see later on in the lesson, the scriptures I'm bringing out, I'm really dealing with more of a warning to the brotherhood, telling you, and you new sheep waking up that it's obvious that Esau has already got everything ready, man, and he's got his plants. These other Israelite groups cannot be trusted, but you're not going to listen to that. You're going to keep using the word hate. You're hating your brother. No, man, we're trying to warn you. But go ahead and follow him. Revelation 12 and 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his anointed. For For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. You know that's Esau. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. The only way you're going to overcome this devil is if you were chosen, right? The blood of the Lamb. If you were chosen and covered in the blood of Yahushua and the word of your testimony, doing the work, right? Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, because what? The scriptures say the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And this devil know, man, the prophecies are taking in effect. And the more Israelites wake up, the more these devils get afraid. Now, I want to play you something before we move on, because Esau also has a movie coming out, and I'm sure you heard about it, but let's look at the trailer for it. It's called The Day Shall Come. Listen to this and see what you see in the trailer. Check it out. As soon as it'll play. Come on. Come on and play, dog, on it. Just give it a second here. I may have to go in. Just start it over.
Prepare ye, for the day that approaches is the day of the great revolution. Are you ready to rule?
We are ready to rule.
May you live to see the accidental dominance of the white race overthrown.
Cool.
You're gonna pitch me the next 9/11.
What about this guy, Moses Shabazz?
Classic lone wolf.
There's 4 of them, actually.
Duck walk.
Pack of lone wolves. How'd that happen?
My mission is to change the lives of poor people without the gun weapon.
Let's offer this Moses Shabazz some funds.
He could set up a meeting with a rich ISIL sheikh.
Perhaps your army needs weapons?
No, we don't believe in guns. If necessary, we'll call on the dinosaurs. At the sound of a trumpet, they will come to our aid.
I think he's delusional.
Yeah, schizophrenia, please.
You being played, Mo.
What if I'm playing them? Whoever it is playing me.
Could you pay someone to inform upon themselves?
You want to inform on yourself?
Would you be interested?
He's got the threat signature of a hot dog.
Peace, brothers!
Jihad has no off switch. Next thing you know, the Statue of Liberty's wearing a burqa, and we've beheaded Bruce Springsteen.
Just get him back out there to blow up a skyscraper, or I'll drop the case.
Okay, so we have to get him a fake nuke.
I'll take a better idea if you got one. How about not selling nukes to Nazis? Uranium to put hair on your chest and make it fall off.
I am just a guy talking to another guy, trying to send a third guy to jail. I'm calling in a full-arm response.
Shit, a pineapple. He's unarmed!
Unarmed black man, unarmed white man. Which one's more likely to have the gun?
I'm gonna be sick. It's just the horn they used to summon the dinosaurs.
You think this gonna work out?
No.
So you saw it right there. So Esau's preparing to make, he's got a video, a movie coming out, making mockery of the truth. On the one hand, he's got an article calling you black identity extremists, because that's really, let's face it, that's really who that's about, okay? And he's trying to say that we're dangerous. So that's telling you what? That Esau has got everything on the books now. You know, he's preparing to call you a threat. So at some point, he's going to have one of his plants do some wickedness. That's why we tell you it's a bad idea for Israelite groups to be packing weapons at camp. And what did you see this past year already accumulating? You saw, who did you see? You saw ISUPK at the shooting range with guns, right? Either this year or late last year. You saw the HOI at the gun range with guns. Then you saw them packing guns at camp. Then you heard about the Covington incident where Chief Ephraim got into, you know, that whole thing, they blowed out of proportion. Then what else did you hear? You also heard about that same group get into a scuffle or a fight with some damn fake Jews. You see? It's just one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. And now you got this movie. Now they're making a mockery of the truth, but at the same time, they're calling you extremists. And let's don't forget about Sakara with his black identity extremist t-shirts, right? Now also, there was so they're making a mockery out of that, you know, out of the truth of that movie that they showed. But back a few years ago, there was another movie that was supposed to come out about the Israelites, which was going to be more serious, right? It was called Asher, and it was supposed to star Danny Glover and Mekhi Phifer, right? And that was way back in 2011. But since then, more than likely they probably scrapped this film and they came out with this other film, right? This other film to make mockery of the truth. But even inside that trailer, what did they say? They tried to pay the guy off, offer him money. They said they was going to infiltrate his organization, right? Listen to this. Let's go over here to this article from Black Entertainment. Movie about black Israelites in production. Now, this is way back in January 2012. It says, Asher tells the story of Paul Rueda, an ambitious college student who goes undercover. You know what? Let's go Salakia, because this has actually got his face on it. Let's bring it up a little bit. It says from the website Real Israelites. It says Danny Glover joins the cast of indie film Asher, and it says the truth is coming out. Veteran actor Danny Glover has joined the cast of Francisco Ordonez's film Asher, described as an urban Da Vinci Code with elements of Donnie Brasco. What was Donnie Brasco doing? He was undercover inside of the mob, right? But then he started to love the guys he was setting up, which also Al Pacino was in that movie as well, and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was Donnie Brasco, right? Going on, it says Asher is the story of an ambitious New York City college student named Paul Rueda who infiltrates a militant religious cult known as the Black Israelites. Glover will play the powerful leader of the sect who faces dissident within the ranks when a young member played by Mekhi Phifer from Torchwood begins to break away from the organization for the purpose of what appears to be pulling off a terrorist operation. The Israelites are known for their fiery sermons on the streets of New York. Their main beliefs are that blacks and Latinos are the true chosen people of the Bible, that the world is controlled by a secret society known as the Illuminati who has spent thousands of years plotting the domination of the world, and that the earth in its final days, as Paul enters their world, he befriends Zebulon. They're using two names of the tribes, giving you a signal. The movie's called Asher, and somebody in the movie's name is Zebulon. He befriends Zebulon, a rising member who Paul hopes to exploit for information. However, Paul gets in over his head when he begins to see evidence that seems to prove the group's bizarre claims, in particular the belief that the Illuminati has started a plan to kill off the population of the world through biological weapons such as anthrax and diseases like AIDS. When Zebulon reveals to Paul that he and a few others have formed a separatist group, Paul begins to participate in their activities, knowing full well that he could be putting his life in danger. Asher is scheduled to begin principal photography in summer 2012, and as to date, this movie never came out. You see, it never came out, but instead they come up with this other crap, the one we just showed you. You know, The Day Shall Come, or whatever it was called. That's a mockery. That's like a damn slapstick comedy. They're making because they know that if they would have put that movie out, it would have brought more people in, into the truth. Because what's gonna happen is they're gonna try to they're making mockery, but the truth is the truth. So they had to really dress it up and come out with this other spinoff, man. And this is the same thing. This article here says the same thing. So that's proof showing you that movie did exist and they were gonna put it out. But instead, what do you have now? You got that messed up version of it. But what's the thing you keep hearing coming out? You keep hearing them talk about infiltration and setting up people and, putting people inside, right? When you go into the scriptures, the same thing was happening, and you should pay attention now more than ever, because this thing is already happening. Esau is showing you that he's already got everything set up. He's going to show you what he's going to do in his movies first. You see? And also another thing they said in that movie, The Day Shall Come, when the dude blew the horn, they said they're going to summon the dinosaurs. They basically making mockery of the fact that we said Leviathan exists. And these devils are very tricky, man. But these niggas are a lot more tricky. This is Acts 6 and 8. And Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and miracles among the people. Then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the Libertines and Cyrenians and Alexandrians, and of them of Cilicia and of Asia, disputing with Stephen. These men were Israelites, and they were not able to resist the wisdom and the spirit by which he spake. Then they suborned men. See, Stephen was cutting them, and you know what happened to Stephen. They wound up stoning him later on, right? But it says what? And they were not able to resist the wisdom and the spirit by which he spake. Then they suborned men which said, we have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against the Most High. And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes and came upon him and caught him and brought him to the council and set up false witnesses which said, this man ceaseth not to speak blasphemous words against his holy place and against the law. For we have heard him say that this Yahushua of Nazareth shall destroy this place and shall change the customs which Moses delivered us. And all that sat in the council, looking steadfastly on him, saw his face as it had been the face of an angel. Let's go back and look up suborn, because these men, they suborned men, right? And they set up false witnesses and spies against Stephen. You see? It says to throw or put under, to subject. Let's go further with it. You go into Strong's info. It says to throw in stealthily, and then something in stealth is undercover, i.e. introduced by collusion. Let's go further with it. To throw or put under, to suggest to mind, to instruct privately, instigate, to bribe or induce someone unlawfully or secretly to perform some misdeed or commit a crime, to induce a person, especially a witness, to give false testimony. So you had those men that couldn't resist what Stephen was bringing out, so they had brought forth other men to make false witness against him, which led to Stephen's death, which led to his death and the unbelief of many. This is Luke 20 and verse 17. And he beheld them and said, what is this then that is written? The stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner. Whosoever shall fall upon that stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And the chief priests and the scribes the same hour sought to lay hands on him, and they feared the people, for they perceived that he had spoken this parable against them. And they watched him and sent for spies, which should feign themselves just men, that they might take hold of his words, that so they might deliver him unto the power and authority of the governor. See that? So you had men that was right there watching Yahushua, ready to turn him over, and it's the same thing now. Because the spirit of Yahushua is back, and it's in his men teaching the word. But these other Israelite groups, hey man, you can't trust them, you know. And I ain't saying every single one of them, you know, you're going to have sincere people among them. That's why we make these lessons. These other groups, but if they get the 501c3, which ISUPK does and IUIC does, you can't trust them. If they going off in their doctrine, which HOI is clearly going off in their doctrine in many places, so is GOCC, so is the Yah Israelites, so is most of the rest of the other groups, all going off, man. And we don't care if you get mad. Now, when you look at John 11 and 45, this is what it says. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Yahushua did believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahushua had done. Right? You got a lot of people running back and forth through different camps, repeating everything you hear. Guys will come over here and watch us and go back to HOI, GMS saying this about you guys, running back telling shit, right? Which that's fine, you do that because that's your job. You got to fear your lot, right? But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahushua had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. You got Israelites that's worried about this stuff. They worried about Esau rolling, just like you had that council of rabbis a few months ago made videos talking about some of the tactics of these Israelite groups. They too rough, they racist, they this, they that. You had guys do that, man. That's that same spirit. And we got other Israelite groups that you would prefer to stay here in fucking Babylon the Great and keep serving these devils other than prophesying their downfall like the Most High told you to do. That's why the IUIC and these other groups have said, don't talk about Esau. Why you keep talking about Esau? That's that spirit, right? Now, many things can come from these trailers and that article that I read, but the spirit was prompting me saying, go into the scriptures about these other Israelites and some of their tactics, man. Because we've seen them getting into fights. We've seen them packing weapons, going to the shooting range, having parties and cookouts, doing award shows. We've seen them doing this stuff, right? We've seen them on several occasions with weapons in their rap songs, in their videos, right? Making several references to packing weapons, you know? There was an instance where this asshole, the deacon from Sakari, and even on the Sakari them, where they not only did they have the Black Identity Extremist T-shirts, but there was an instance where the head of the Pittsburgh camp had showed me a image from either Instagram or one of those social media sites where the deacon showed he had a damn weapon with a damn extended magazine in that shit, man. These dudes cannot be trusted. But what do the scriptures say? You shall know them by their fruits. But Esau, the reason I'm saying that is because the main tactic that Esau is going to use is infiltration. Just like when IUIC back a few months ago or last year when that dude was out there in Dallas, Michael, whatever his name was, shooting up them cops and doing all the stuff out in Dallas, and they sent that robot in there and blowed his ass up. But what came out of that? We found that the IUIC is classified as a Muslim group, you know, which is going off. That 501c3, man. Now I want to read this 2 Corinthians 11. And I got to start at verse 11. It says, wherefore, because I love you not, the Most High knoweth. But what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion, that wherein they glory they may be found even as we. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Hamashiach. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. Right. You got guys that's among us in the truth, and they work for the devil the whole time, man. Work for Esau. It's right there in the scriptures. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Hamashiach. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. You ain't going to get away with it. You know, it's just a game the Most High want to play. That's all it is. That's all it is, man. So in close, I'm going to read this scripture, 2 Corinthians 13:5. It says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahushua Hamashiach is in you, except you be reprobates. And I just got done watching the lesson from Elder Apostle Rambla, Reprobates, where he was going into this latest false teaching, damnable heresy, demonic doctrine of IUIC, which they say you can have sex on the Sabbath, going off completely. But I trust that ye shall know that we are not reprobates. Now I pray to the Most High that ye do no evil, not that we should appear approved, but that ye should do that which is honest, though we be as reprobates. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. That's right. And I'll stop right there. No need to beat it in the ground. The point is made. Esau got the articles out there. He got his mocking movies out there. And in the one movie he had that probably was going to shed a little light to the truth and bring forth, you know, a little bit of truth. It's on the shelf. Obviously, it's on the shelf, right? Esau ain't going to bring that movie out, Asher. Why? Because it would have brought too much attention, too much positive attention to the truth. So he had to come back with a mocking movie, you know, to make the truth seem like it's something ridiculous. But in any event, the Most High is going to use it. Matter of fact, let me go with one of my favorite scriptures, Genesis chapter 50, and we'll end it right there. Let's go into it. Because everything that these devils try to do against us is going to fail, man. Everything you try to do against this truth is going to fail. This is Genesis chapter 50. I'm going to go to 15. No, you know what? Let's just go right to the point. Genesis 50 and 18. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face, and they said, behold, we be thy servants. And Joseph said unto them, fear not, for am I in the place of the Most High? But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but the Most High meant it unto good, to bring to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive. There you go. So while they thinking that they're going to do something against this truth, in the meantime, all they're going to do is bring more attention to it, and they're going to help further seal the elect. So bring it on, devils. Do what you got to do. You know, do what you got to do. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Enough respect to the brothers teaching the truth worldwide. See you again soon with another lesson, Lord willing. Shalom.